Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 120. Today is Sunday, January 31st, 2015, and I am glad you could join me today. It is really super duper gorgeous outside today, so yay! So no extra knitting here. I just threw on a shawl because I figured it may as well have a little bit of knitting content. Or it's always good to throw a little bit of that in. I'm not sure how long this episode's gonna be. Yeah. So, we'll just start with this. This is actually the project that got the least amount of love. This is the Everdeen sock by Ivana Reynolds, and I'm knitting it out of dragonfly fibers in the dragon sock. And the colorway is deep, and I think I've done 2 rows on it. Maybe 4. So, it's turning out pretty. It just, it's got no love. At some point I'll have to get my tail into gear because I am hosting the Cal for the sock knitters. But there are other things I want to finish more than this, so that's why it's not gotten a lot of love. What got a little bit of love, more than non-zero amount of love, was my sweater. So I'll run it out. I ended up finishing the right front. So, ta-da, right front. So, it'd be the case where this is nice and long and appears to be the right size, and I left some tails for, well, this isn't nearly enough tail for seaming purposes, so I don't know what I was thinking there. I should have left enough to seam. But it is out of my chocolate Shetland fleece, and the pattern is Mulled Cider, blah, which is by Thea Coleman. So, coming along. So this is the plain one, and I managed to get a start on the left front, because I would really like to be able to seam it together and figure out if it's going to fit. Okay. Done fishing out of the bag. So I am done with the ribbing at the bottom of the first one, and I did a little bit of Excel color code because I made the front a bigger size than my size because I sort of wanted to put some more ease into the sweater somehow. So I wanted to make sure that my little stitch pattern lined up in the right spot. So I needed to add extra stitches here in order to make that work. So it'd be the case where I think the distance between these 2 markers is about right, and then I will have my fetching little leaves going up the front. So it'll be a lot more fun to knit the left front than the right front. It'll be slightly less mindless, but more fun, so who knows. As you can tell, I have many, many more inches to go. So, well, sort of glomp them onto each other and then be like, many more inches. Oh wait, this way. Be like, many more inches to go. You have to appropriately scroll to show this off. So it is moving. So I think last week or whatever in the last week I ended up doing about how much I have folded over and then this. So not a ton of love, but definitely moving along. Now, what got pretty much all of the love this week was the Aeolin. Because it was the closest to being done, and I wanted it to be done, and it is not done. And I've sort of had a shall we say, love-hate relationship with it. And that isn't because of anything I'm doing right or wrong. It's just the case where, like, this row is interesting, very slow. You know what I mean? It's fascinating and time-consuming. So, I think when I was talking about last week, because I was having, I guess I can talk about that a little bit later, but it'd be the case where I left off last week was probably in the neighborhood of here. And then I have where the beads are last showing up. And I've done probably about 4 inches of knitting at, we'll say, around 700 plus stitches. So I've really done a tremendous amount of work on this guy. And I have, at this point, I have the most ridiculous beaded row you have ever seen. Then another row after that, which has a little bit of beads, but everything's starting to calm down. And obviously they're requisite purlback rows. And then I get to bind off. So I am 5 rows from bind off, or 4 rows from bind off. So really close. I had like very little knitting time today, unfortunately. So I just realized there was just no way I was going to be able to get all of that done. So odds are very good you'll be seeing this as an FO next week. Blocked the whole shebang. Because now it's like really close to being done, and that is really exciting for me. as one can tell. So excuse me. So it is really close to being done. And it's like at this point there's a tremendous amount of drama in the pattern. So we've got noops like crazy and beads all over the place and beads and decreases, and yeah, it's full of shenanigans. The only thing that annoyed me a little bit about it was I was reading the pattern more carefully and realized I was doing the wrong center double decrease. I was not doing a center double decrease. So I sort of switched because I figured that would probably be the best course of action, and it doesn't end up making a really big visual change with respect to its buddy decreases. But the reason why I switched was, I ended up switching because the beads weren't showing up very well inside the center double decreases. So, and this makes a lot more sense now that they weren't showing up right, because it wasn't really the correct decrease for, it wasn't the one where the beads were going to be showing up on top. So the correct center double decrease has that 1 stitch show up on top. And I'm not going to knit this on the podcast today because it actually is done with a row, and there are just so many stinking beads. Like, I would just be distracted. You would be watching me put beads into knitting, and that would be sort of lame. I rewound the ball because it was starting to get into the fall apart stage, so now the outside of it is the inside, and hopefully this holds up until the finish. It's sort of loose towards the end because it's sort of hard to prevent tangles, so I sort of had the center pole ball on my, like, slid up my arm, and then I was using friction to make sure that it wouldn't pull out too much, but it was exciting. But it needed to happen because the ball was getting to the stage where it couldn't even really hold its shape, so it'd sit there and then it sort of slumped. And so then it was going to result in yarn management problems very soon if I hadn't done anything about it. So, Aeolian is an Elizabeth Freeman pattern. It is free on Knitty, and she is a genius, and I really love her patterns. And I believe this is actually the only one of hers I haven't knit yet, so I'm really glad I got a chance to do it. And the only annoying thing about what's coming is the person I'm making it for wanted a picot bind off because it is girly and pretty. And I was sitting at knitting and I was like, "Gah! Why did she have to want that one?" And I believe that the wisdom of the women around the table was you don't give people options you don't want to do yourself. But it was too late. I showed her a shawl with that and she thought it was pretty, and my quest for finding the appropriate pattern, and she wanted that element in this one, which was probably slightly more to her taste. But that is the knitting. And it was whatever. I occasionally end up showing up to knit at the local yarn store. Just depends on whether or not I'm going to be in that part of town at the right time. And that was pretty nice. It worked out. So, let's see if... I'm not sure this is actually going to work quite right, but spinning gently, carefully. Oops, bang the computer. There isn't apparently enough room. Okay. Can you see? So I've done a little bit of spinning on the next 4 ounces of the the 65% merino, 35% silk. That's going to be my heat a few day if I get the right yardage. I'll put in that caveat, because if I don't have enough yardage, then I'll have to find something else to do with it. It'll be really pretty. What's funny about what I've spun so far is actually it's a lot fluffier. I'm actually spinning from the other end of the braid, so I'm not sure if that's what that means. Well, it'd be the case where, since it is comb top, one side is the butt end and one side is the tip end, and since I split the fiber in the middle and started spinning from the middle, one side is probably, the side I think I already spun was in the true worsted direction where I'm going tip to butt, and on this side I'm going butt to tip, and it's resulting in a less smooth yarn, which I found to be sort of interesting. I hadn't ever thought deeply on the matter before, but it's definitely a bit hairier. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can definitely see it. So I got a little bit of work done on this. Because of that home time problem, it means that if I'm working on the shawl, I'm not spinning. So I got to start on it, and that's better than no spinning at all. Okay. I will gingerly return the spinning wheel to its place nearby. It's very close. So, I guess I could show you guys the fiber. That's a little bit easier to show. So, what is the state of the ball right now is I'm definitely into the teal. I'm out of the green now. And I am heading to the bluey purpley part. So this one, I think we'll end up mixing the colors a lot more, or whatever, the way this is spinning up, so it'd be the case where I'm going to get a lot of overlap between the colors and the gradient, so it should be like real smooth, I'm hoping. So I still have several, or between 1 to 2 feet of the teal left to go before I make it into the purple. And I'm definitely seeing some blue parts in there, so I don't know if it's going to be more blue and the blue is going to sort of spread all around, which I like. I like blue. So, the colorway doesn't have a name, but I'm calling it the Mallard colorway because it's the color of duck. Okay, and I think that ends the normal parts of the episode. I have nothing else to show with regards to that. So what I did want to talk a little bit about was I had some time to try to figure out how in the world to get the podcast onto iTunes. And I think I finally ran into the appropriate solution, which is apparently one of the nice benefits of uploading to Google is you can actually download the M4A file it creates after the fact. So I give it .wmv because Windows Movie Maker, Windows whatever. And I was trying to find a way to basically convert all my videos to the M4A format because that is what iTunes accepts and Apple, Borg, whatever. And I have an account set up on Podcast Garden. I now have all of my files downloaded, so I can now start the process of putting them up on Podcast Garden. And once I have Podcast Garden filled in, for lack of a better word, or what, I'll probably do a trial run where I have episode 0 and put that up and then go through the episodes in chronological order. And that will populate the entire list. So it'd be the case where the extra step to get it onto the right places is after I upload to YouTube, I have to, what is it? So after I upload to YouTube, then I have to download it, upload it to Podcast Garden, and then I should be good to go. And I can finish up all of the other things for getting things onto, onto iTunes. So I'm really excited about that. I'm glad I figured something out. Because I figure it's just, there is a lot bigger audience available for having things go through iTunes and iDevices, because Apple Borg. So I'm finding ways to join the Borg, and I think this is a workable solution. The only question is how big of a pain is it going to be to get all of those files onto Podcast Garden, but I think it's doable at this point. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm not sure how much more time I can devote to it today, but oh, craziness. Crazy day for sure. So let's see. Oh, and one of the other things that just sort of blew my mind was as I was sort of combing through all of the YouTube settings, like, I was surprised to find out that there are actually 150 YouTube subscribers, so I just thought that was really awesome. Because, what was that? I ended up watching my first episode again. I think I've gone, like, way, way smoother with respect to talking, which is cool. What I haven't thought too deeply about is whether or not they're, like, distracting noises and stuff like that. So that's why I was trying to be sort of quiet when I was moving the spinning wheel over, because, trying to keep things nice and whatnot and not annoying. And the other thing that made me laugh a little bit is because, I'm used to speaking into video camera, microphone, whatever else. But I was working on a submission for a work conference, and I had to freestyle what I was going to say for the "Pick Me for the Conference, Please." Oh my gosh. It would have been easier if I had, like, a list of key points or something like that, because, like, I think I ended up spending, like, a good hour trying to make it not sound awkward. So apparently me talking about knitting just was real easy, no big deal. But me trying to explain to technical people something that isn't in there, technical expertise about what's going on. That's hard. But I was hoping that I would, at the very least, try to demonstrate that I was interesting to listen to and that I would be a good speaker. So we'll see, or maybe it just exposed me for being random and all over the place, which I sort of knew, but whatever. So, what is it? I should be able to record next week. I think that must be the 8th of February. We'll go with it. I'll check the date and put it up on the blog. With that, I hope you guys have a lovely week. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.